Welcome back to another video. My name is Kris Soutar. If you're new to this channel, then welcome. Thank you very much for joining me. Make sure you subscribe, press your notification bell ding-a-ling thing so you get all notifications of new content which will be coming to you soon. Today I'm going to talk about the player development pathway in tennis. Dun dun dun. Bit of a controversial one. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm from Scotland, and we're going to call it part of the UK reluctantly, and I believe we're reaching a tipping point in tennis coaching in the UK. I don't want this to be controversial. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not blaming any governing bodies or any people individually. I just think it's been a natural evolution to this point, and I think we are almost at the tipping point. I don't want to say breaking point, where things need to change, and I'm going to use the player development pathway combined with long-term athlete development principles to highlight how crazy things have got. And as the days go on, I will release in my own time I will release little snippets of what I think should be done at each stage or could be done at each stage, and how we could create a more healthy environment for tennis players in the UK. So now, here's where I need to put this in here. If you're watching this and you're not from the UK, please compare what I say to what happens in your country, and write below anything that we could learn from each other, and or just if you want to have a rant or a moan, put it down there as well. So let's get going. So LTA guidelines, they're long-term athlete development. So they were probably founded by Istvan Bali. I remember Istvan coming to Scotland many years ago, telling us these principles, and then the next thing you know, I think he met with someone in the governing body. Lo and behold, we're all now long-term athlete development specialists. Now, they are good in certain respects, but I think they have been unhealthy for the game in general. So I'm going to unpack it now. Down the left hand column you'll see participant numbers, and on the bottom it's age. Now I'm not going to go into any great detail about each stage, but you will see the graph, which is an interesting one, and that's what I want to leave you with today. So first stage, activation. From 0 to 6 years old, children should be active. Dun dun dun, there's no scandal there. That's pretty self-explanatory. The reason I put it around the 50% mark is just plucked a number out of the air, but I would hope that at least 50% of children between 0 and 6 are in general active. Now, it might be way higher, but let's put it at 50% just now. So now let's look at the next stage, which is the fundamental stage. So the reason it drops is because we do not attract our fair share of players from the general public into tennis. There's lots of other sports and lots of other activities in there, so that number will drop. Again, don't get too bogged down by the numbers or the percentages, but in that fundamental stage, it's all about developing the player or developing the athlete, the coordination, etc. Again, I'll unpack that in a different video. And then the next stage, between 9 and 12, you are learning how to train. Now, again, philosophically, these titles again have been chosen probably 35 years ago, so let's not get hung up on the wording, but let's think about in tennis in the UK what happens between 9 and 12. So what does happen between 9 and 12? Well, technically they're going from green tennis to what we call yellow ball tennis. Let's have a think about that maybe on another video. And then the next stage, train to train. So that is when you are see, this is where I would disagree with the words. I would say between 12 and 16, that is when you are maybe 13, 14 to 16. That's when you are really learning how to put the hard work in. Now, some of you might be watching this going, scandalous. Kids should be working hard from a really young age, and motivation and all that kind of stuff. Let's just sack that off for a second. The reality is that most people don't really know how to train really well until they're mid to late teens, and some people don't ever find out. Then it's dropping still, the numbers are getting lower. We're now in that 16 to 23 years old, which is now trained to compete. So again, let's not get hung up on the words, but that is when people are now going out into the big bad world, and they are becoming adults. So they're going from junior to senior, so they are almost having to learn how to compete in the environment that they are in with the big boys or big girls. And then the next one is so small I couldn't even find a colour for it. We've got train to win. So I think that's that 23-ish, onwards. We're now seeing in tennis the average age of the top 100 is getting older and older. Again, let's be careful with that one, because at some point all those older players are going to retire and the average age is going to drop right down again. So it's going to go in a bit of a cycle. But that's train to win. So that's, according to long-term athlete development, that is when the focus is purely on, right, we're training to go on the court and actually win matches. Now, philosophically, we all know that these things get completely jumbled about, and I'll unpack them as the day goes on. But a seventh one that they've added without me realizing in recent years is this one. The seventh one of long-term athlete development is active for life. So what happens is, this is where it gets crazy, is you can see the numbers are dropping. The number of people that are actually getting to that stage where they're in a position where they are almost committing their life to competing in tennis is minuscule. We're talking in the UK, count them on two hands if you're lucky. So from all of these things, this activation, our pool of players into tennis, we go through this fundamental stage, all these different phases of the numbers are getting lower and lower in each age group for a reason, and that's what I'll unpack as the days go on. So we get to this stage here, train to win, and then all of a sudden they've bolted this thing on, going, hang on a minute, we're missing a trick here. Now you have to be active for life. So I think this is a little bit jumbled up, and I'm going to unpack it as the days goes on. But what I want you to do is comment below. What is it like where you live, where you work, where you play tennis? Right below, share this so that we get as much data as possible. But let's start, or let me finish by putting my little perspective on it. I think the number one thing that we should be doing in tennis, our number one goal in tennis as coaches, should be trying to increase the probability that our tennis players are active in tennis for life. Not thinking about it as a kind of, if you don't make it, you still, I hope. That should be the number one goal, is that they are active within tennis for life, whether it be as a player, a coach, a referee, a fan, just something that keeps them involved in tennis. It keeps it in their mind. So, get involved, share, comment, like, make sure you subscribe, and as the days goes on, in my time, because that footwork cycle almost killed me, I will be releasing what I think fundamentally should be happening in each of these phases in terms of player development. It's going to be good. Right, catch you later. Bye bye.